This is what I do. I'm a storyteller. And what do storytellers do? We tell stories. We take all these classes. To be a storyteller, to be a good storyteller, you have to read a lot. You have to do a lot of things. Basically, you have to live your life. Your life is the story that you tell. If you notice, the first story I talked about was religion. I became a storyteller when I read the Bible, because in the Bible there are a lot of good stories. Example, Moses crossed the Red Sea. Doesn't take a genius to recognize that the story doesn't make sense, since Moses crossed the Red Sea to lead the Jews out of Egypt, who hadn't gotten to Egypt yet, but they also built pyramids 2,000 years before they got to Egypt. Now the big thing here is the Red Sea is 8,000 feet deep, 192 miles across, and you may convince the common sense majority of humans to cross, but you're not taking animals. Not through 8,000 feet of water, a wall of water for 192 miles. No, animals are smart enough. You ever notice during the tsunamis, the animals recognize that it's coming and they go to higher ground while the people sit there in awe. That's what people do. Now, stories do a couple of things. Sometimes they help people. I remember when my stepson was 3 years old and he used to have nightmares. So I made up a story. He's left-handed. I put a white glove on his left-handed and taught him it was a magic glove. So when monsters attacked you, always hit them with your magic glove. The nightmares disappear. That's what people do. The people who are interested in benefiting other people. One of the things that's beautiful to me about religious people is they don't listen. They don't learn. For example, I went from Baptist to Methodist to Catholic, and one of the things I noticed in the Catholic Church is on every cross there's this INRI, which means Jesus Christ, King of the Jews, but the Jews don't accept Jesus Christ. So why are we making up stories for the Jews? When I was a police officer, I used to tell stories. I would sit down with kids who thought they were better than other kids, and I said, well, let me talk to you about your uncle. Your uncle who lives out there in Columbia, Maryland, is a drug dealer. He won't let you come into Baltimore, but his cracker is in Baltimore. He deals drugs, then he runs out. Stories should either benefit people or they're not worthy of people. And in most cases, stories don't benefit people. Another thing you must do after you tell the story, you must live the story. When I was a police officer, I joined for one reason. I joined to benefit my community. So it wasn't enough to go out and arrest people. I had to talk to people about how to do things different. I set up classes, set up karate programs, boxing programs. I took kids on field trips. I interjected myself into my community. And in my community, I did the things that I talked about. With my children, when I talk to my children about things, I try to show them. For example, I took my kids out of the country because I would say to them, you know, I was in England and I heard a different story. I was in Turkey and I heard a different story. I was in Ireland and I heard a different story. It's not enough to tell the story to your children. You must do it by example. So I joined the airline industry and I took my children out of the country so they could see what was happening. When I sit down and write these books, I write what I have lived. Now, some people may not like, I've got a book called Queen Bee, The Final Assault on Black Progress. A lot of people may not like it. I've got one, How to Avoid a Chicken Head. A lot of people may not like it, but I want people to understand that not only did I live this story, I studied this story. I changed my major at San Francisco State to behavior modification and social learning theory because I want to understand why we believe, why we do what we do. And the best way to impart why we do what we do, why we believe, is through storytelling. The ancient Africans were storytellers. My ancestors are African. I am a storyteller.